There's a saying in ethic that if you consider the length of the snake, you may not set the fire in the forest. In a swift move, the National Judicial Council, NJC, has approved the probe of 3 judges for granting conflicting ex-parte orders that are considered embarrassing to the judiciary. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Tanko Muhammad, gave the nod for the council to investigate 3 judges after a meeting with 7 chief judges on Monday. Let's start with this. And yes, this ex-parte orders, and we suspected that there's more to it, that something will happen, and within the jurisdiction of maybe FCT Abuja, or in a political party, somebody, let's say the People's Democratic Party as a case study, somebody will go from Abuja, go to River State, from River State, go to Kudu to obtain an ex-parte. Just looking for the nearest pliable, judge, and this has backfired.
Well, I think granting of ex-parte motion, most of the time contradictory. It's not a new development in Nigeria. In recent times, we have seen such thing happens, even prelude to the June 12th election, when there were conflicting judgments. But in the past years, it has become almost like a trend. You remember in 2011, when the new CJ was to be screened by the Senate, that question was also posed to him, Honorable Justice Mustafa. Now we have a situation where it's almost on a monthly basis that, one judge will give another. The same matter, you hear another judge giving contradictory verdict. And I think it's not a good development at all, because the judiciary is supposed to be the strongest pillar of democracy. Of all the government institutions, the judiciary is supposed to be the best friend of the people, the protector of the people against the excesses of government, and also against the bullying tactics of the strong against the weak. So if the judiciary is not doing its job, and it's as if justice is now for sale, it's going to affect the prospect of stability and the process of democratic building in the country. So I think it was a good thing that the CJ rose up to the occasion by inviting 7 CJs from, I think, Kebbi, Jigawa, Cross River, Rivers, Anambra, and Imo, and then from the FCC. And for what we have read, they started having a meeting from 11 a.m. and it did not end until 5:30 p.m. in the evening. So that means that they actually had a thorough, a very meaningful discussion. And we understand that the 3 judges were quizzed by the CJ. And he gave warning to them. If you read the report of the NJC, the statement by them. And we just hope that, this will serve.
Judges or the chief judge of the state?
Yeah, the chief judge he gave warning to them.
Okay.
That
because they are the one that assigns judges
cases. They were accused of assigning cases to new judicial officers because of vacation. When some judges are on vacation, the new ones without experience, they just award, they just assign cases to them. And also that judges should not be taking up cases when it's already been heard by courts of, of equal jurisdiction. When you are aware that this case is already in court, there's no point for you to take the same matter, And
the lawyers, they will argue that, people will argue that a judge is only bounded by the facts in front of him. That's lead in front of him, not newspaper reports.
Yes.
Not what you are seeing in the media. But what is in front of you.
Generally, there
is
coordination in the NJC. If the case is, you have a case in court in Abuja, the judge in Zamfara.
We don't have the technology yet.
No, most of the time,
we don't, because Bisade, when there's a Supreme Court judgment today, and the Supreme Court is saying, the lawyers are telling you that, okay, they are waiting for, the copies of the judgment.
Look at the case
before it could circulate.
Look at the case of Amosu and Benga Daniel in 2005, and there was a judgment that I think Yadike, one of the people that came to provide evidence, one court ruled that he is not an expert to inspect electoral materials. They say it was all over everywhere. The same court ruled in the case of Adegbeshola and Olagunsoye Oyinlola. that he is an expert, that he can inspect electoral materials. So you see that even cases that are well celebrated, people still go to court to challenge, to go to court and also try to, to twist judgment. So it's not as if that they are not aware. I think what we are saying is that two things: political interference, and then corruption. Those are the two major things that I think is affecting the issue
at the point in time, the Independent National Electoral Commission, through Festus Okoye, had to really voice out their frustration, because politicians went to courts as a way, instead of losing out totally, instead of accepting their fate in the internal democracy within the party, they will always find a reason to run to these courts. And when they run to these courts, they get relief through this ex-parte order. And this ex-parte order does not require, it's a kind of order you get that does not require the other party to be aware. So you can just get it and just take action on something that's, it's very, very urgent.
Actually, that's the problem. Something that is put in place to ensure speedy delivery of justice, and to ensure that everybody gets justice. That is what politicians are now using to frustrate the dispensation of justice in the system. And that is actually the problem, and that is why what the CJN has done is commendable. Because if you look at it, is the most senior judicial officer in the country as of today. And before he summoned the judges, he did say that it was a huge embarrassment the way judges go about issuing conflicting orders. Be that as it may, it is not strange in our democratic structure. In fact, if you look at the issue of ex-parte motions, it's something that politicians or whoever likes has converted to a way of bulldozing the other party. Those who probably, because you don't really need to file a proper court process before you get it. So you can easily go to the court and tell the court that this is what is happening, and the court just issues it. So the onus actually is on the court, is on the judiciary, to hold on to his own and ensure that justice is served for the good of the society, for the good of humanity, and not just for politicians or whoever is able to give them money or out of corruption. Imagine, a lot of things happen here. There was a time that a whole convocation of a university was suspended because of an ex-parte motion. Imagine over thousands of graduates were prevented from graduating. Yes, because somebody goes to court and obtains an ex-parte motion. So these kind of things, they are things that we really need to look into and to correct. And I think it has always been a problem. Former CJN Onoge complained about it. The Chief Judge of Federal High Court Abuja also complained about it at the time, and he actually in 2018 he actually ordered judges in his jurisdiction not to grant any ex-parte motion to politicians, because during political era it's something that politicians easily make use of just to scuttle the will of justice. And what the CJN has done is very commendable.
Well, look at the fate of even people that are going to participate in the November 6th election now. As that now, no party can just, because some of them, they're still having cases, litigation, the Supreme Court, it could get to Supreme Court before that night of November. And it never used to be like this, that people will always run to court to scuttle whatever is happening, the internal destiny of the party.
The courts needs to know that they have a very important role to play in stabilizing democracy. And this idea of granting all sorts of orders just to please certain politicians, is going to have long impact, you know, on the future of democracy in Nigeria. And it's going to affect a lot of things, you know, because justice should not become a commodity that people can just go and purchase with their money. And you know, what we are saying, what the CG has done, we really want to see practical steps. We want to see what is going to happen to those judges that have been indicted. You know, we want to know their names. We want to know what kind of punishment. Because even though
I don't think they were really indicted as in for more investigation.
Yeah, but for more investigation, but we are very anxious to know the outcome of this investigation.
Okay.
Because the CG has given us hope. We really want to know what will be the outcome and what if there's need for suspension or any kind of punishment. We need to monitor and see the outcome. So we will not like to see a situation where it will be swept under the carpet. Okay. So we are all watching to see what will come out of the case.
Any judges, would this serve? Do you see this serving as a lesson? Because it has always been like this. After another season, election cycle season, even when it gets closer to 2023, you will still see enough of these ex-parte injunctions.
Well, it's good that the CJN has actually spoken to judges across the federation, asking them to guide and give proper direction to judges in their jurisdiction.
Yes, chief judges.
Chief judges in their jurisdiction. And he has also told them that they should also be conversant with the happenings in the political space, so that we don't have the kind of situation that you pointed out, that they will say that they were not aware that certain judgments have been issued or the other. So as judges, they should be conversant with the political happenings, and they should also, I think it's an individual decision that they need to take, just to make a decision that they want to ensure that justice is done, and not that they help certain individuals to have or accomplish their selfish ends. I think that is the most important thing, because except that is done, I don't see an end to all of these things.
Okay, I have our first caller. Isiwole is calling us from Edo State. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Isiwole from Edo State.
Yeah, please, I want to contribute to your program.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the grant of ex-parte applications in Nigeria is becoming ridiculous on the part of lawyers and corrupt judges. Ordinarily, the grant of ex-parte motion is to ensure that you preserve the, to ensure that you immediately ensure that something that is about to be destroyed is preserved. Now, the court in Rivers State may have given whatever judgment they needed to give or ruling or granted their ex-parte application. But I think what was there was that ordinarily, ex-parte application, the grant of ex-parte application has a lifespan of 14 days. Because you must have filed the motion on notice and also along with the ex-parte application.
Yes, that's duration.
The judge will now ask you to come back after 14 days to come and show cause why that ex-parte application that has been granted may not be vacated. So you now discover that lawyers and the corrupt bench, what they now do is that they try to circumvent the course of justice that are running to courts that are outside the jurisdiction to vacate an order that have been given by a court which has concurrent jurisdiction. Ordinarily, what they ought to have done in the case of Rivers, for instance, was for them to go back to that same court after 14 days. So say, this order that you have given, it was perverse. I want you to look at it very well. And any reasonable judge will look at it and say, yes, let us vacate it. That is how it is done.
Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your contribution. And when you look at these political parties, you see that we don't have enough discipline, as in, it's not the way I used to read about the Europeans of this world, the NPNs of this world, where your party, you can rely on your party to do justice. At any point in time, you have conflicts and everything, and the court should be the last place you can go to, not that you can't go to the court,
Yeah.
but you'd have exhausted all internal crisis mechanism within the political party?
The Nigerian political parties, the modern political parties in Nigeria, their mission is not the same with the other parties we have in those days, in terms of ideology, in terms of internal structure, and in terms of its form and content. There are historical factors responsible, because we had so many years of military rule, so the political parties could not be allowed to be developed. Or like in other countries, for instance, in UK, the Labour Party was formed in the 1900s. So you could see more than 100 years of internal, of developing the party, And then the US, the Indian National Congress was formed in 1885. And consistently there have been a kind of engagement in politics, so they were able to develop over the years. The oldest party in Nigeria is PRP, 1978. So we have
the one for
from Barry Musa and others. So these parties have not been able to have the opportunity to actually develop. So when we are talking about building internal mechanism, it's not there. Then the other thing is that if you look at the political parties in the past, take the UPM for instance, or Action Group, they had what they call the summer school. They train their members, they give them orientation, they organize workshops in terms of how to build the party. But the parties we have today are just about elections. You don't hear of, for instance, in Lagos, you don't hear of PDP, the 4 years only after election. 6 months to the election, you start hearing. So the mission is just about capturing power. It's not about building internal democracy. And that's what is affecting them. That's why they cannot resolve most of the internal contradictions that they have.
Peter is calling us from Oyo State.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Peter.
Yes, sir. We are looking at the judiciary. The system, the entire system is faulty. If you look at even how the CGN came into power, that it's not the fault of the judges. Even the CGN is not in the first place supposed to be there. It's a faulty system. So the judges, when you see your father doing the wrong thing, and your father don't think that he is doing a wrong thing, then the child will copy from him. So we should blame the entire system. The entire system is rotten. Thank you, sir. Good evening.
Thank you for your contribution, Peter. Busy?
Yeah, the entire system is rotten, but we cannot continue to just believe that it is rotten. And that is why at a point in time, somebody needs to stand up to ensure that the right thing is done. Yeah, and that is why what the CGN has done in this particular case is right. However, we cannot just look at what he has done and think that it is enough. You see, because you cannot say that you have called some people to order. If you don't punish them, where is the deterrent? It is not enough to just call people and warn them. That is, anybody can give any warning. But we need to see what is being done so that others can learn from whatever punishment is meted out to these ones. So it is not just enough for the CGN to warn them. I'm thinking that we should go beyond that so that we can, going forward, we can begin to see better things in our system.
I want us to look at the NJC because before now, NJC, that apex body, they've had to sanction some judges and they've had to retire some judges and recommended the dismissal of some judges. If you remember, during the abduction of former the Minister of Health now, Dr. Chris Ngige, if you remember the likes of Justice Stalin Naji and Justice Wilson Igbo, that the NJC actually, started on their matter as at that time. And you look at the last time the NJC had punished a hearing judge and the petition required the process and everything. Do you see the NJC has been effective not to actually whip these judges to line and the Nigerian Bar Association?
From what is going on in the country, even though the NJC has, taken some steps, the NJC still need to do more, because we are all aware that the judiciary is not immune from corruption. We are aware that judges are, they take bribe. We are aware it's an open secret. And we are also aware that not enough has been done to sanction erring judges. So the NJC needs to do a lot. And also it also comes to the point of judicial autonomy, especially in the states. Because the process of appointing the CJ of a state, if it is politicized, you know, you are going to have a lot of problems. When state governors have to decide who becomes, you know, the chief justice of the state. So it's a very complex thing, but the judiciary should know that it has a very, very important role to play in sanitizing the society. And once it fails to do that, you know, then we are all in trouble.
Your final take on this, moving forward?
They should just try to uphold the highest tradition of ethics in their profession, because it's, you know, I mentioned it the other time that it's an individual decision. It's an individual thing. They should just try as much as possible to continue to uphold the highest tradition and ethics of their profession, so in the dispensation of justice, so that courts do not serve as bulldozers to grant judgments or to people that have the highest bidders, so to say. So
all right,